That's what Mr. Gilbert taught, right? Taught history.
Yep. Did you never have him?
I did. I think only 1 year. I don't remember what he taught. Was he a sophomore or a junior?
I want to say sophomore and junior I had him. I think I've had him twice.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Remember.
Very long time ago, and I'm quite old.
You were not. Well.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you ready, my dear?
I am ready.
Okay, then I should probably hit record. So there's that. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome once again to Editing the Academy. I'm Darryl.
I'm Laura.
And Ms. Laura, what's the year we're talking about?
You didn't laugh.
I know, I was going to do it after you did it.
Oh, okay, all right.
I don't know why, it was just a thing. But
Okay, sorry, I interrupted the thing.
that's okay. What's the year and what are the films?
Are the movies that were up for Best Picture in 1997 that came out in 1996.
Excellent. And the movies are?
Secrets and Lies, Shine, The English Patient, Jerry Maguire, and Fargo. What a clap! That was awesome.
Thank you
Excellent.
very much.
Well done.
All right, so before we dive in, was talking to you offline, but I think this is the most diverse of any year we've ever done. There is no theme to any of this. It is,
I
each
think that's
film is
fair.
different.
I think that's fair. I think we said it was very diverse about one other year. I will have to look it up and compare. But yeah, there's no rhyme, reason, theme, anything in here. Very, very different pictures.
Absolutely. Okay, the top 5 for that year. Do you want to take a guess? This is 1996 release.
Jerry Maguire was up in the top 5.
It was number 5.
Okay.
But none of these will surprise you at all.
Okay.
In order,
All right.
Independence Day,
Not surprising.
Twister,
Yep.
the first Mission Impossible, and
Oh.
The Rock.
Okay. All of your action adventure, popcorn,
Yep.
very much summer going to the movies.
Yes.
Okay.
Other notables released that year, and each year there's more and more and more, so I just kind of handpicked some indies, some popular ones.
And more that were meaningful to us probably
Yes.
at that time. Yeah.
So Grace of My Heart, The People vs. Larry Flint, Phenomenon, Primal Fear, Hamlet, the Kenneth Branagh version, Striptease, Courage Under Fire, Beautiful Girls, a highly underrated film.
I love that. That almost made my top 20 movies.
Me too.
Yep.
Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann version with a very young DiCaprio, Evita, Swingers, and The Birdcage.
What was Grace of My Heart?
Grace of My Heart is, oh my god, I can't remember the actress. You've seen her in everything, brunette. She's been like a second and third character in tons of movies. I can't remember her name. But it's basically, she's part of, it's like a fictional Brill building, where everybody came together, wrote all the songs for the groups. So she was a songwriter and never got her chance, but was a very good singer.
Okay.
It's just a really sweet
I'll
independent
check it out.
film.
It does not ring a bell for me.
But saw most of the others though, obviously.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
I go alphabetical, so you want to start with the English Patient?
Let's
or
start
is there
it.
one you really want to talk about?
I think alphabetical is good, especially since they're all over the board.
All right.
And there's a few I really don't want to talk about.
Yeah,
so.
we'll definitely get to those.
Okay.
So, The English Patient, directed by Anthony Minghella from his own script, based on the 1992 novel by Michael Ondajate, I apologize. Produced by Saul Zentz. The film stars Rafe Fiennes, Kristen Scott Thomas, Juliette Binoche, William Dafoe, Colin Firth, nominated for pretty much everything. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Screenplay, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing, Best Dramatic Score, Original, and Best Sound. It won almost everything as well. So right out of the gate, yes, this was the Best Picture winner for the year. Also Best Director, Best Supporting Actress for Juliette Binoche, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Costume Design, Film Editing, Score, and Sound. It just won almost everything it was nominated for. So there you go.
Okay, so my fun facts are, related specifically to the movie, this is the first movie ever that won Best Editing for a digitally edited movie.
Oh, okay.
Everything prior to this time, which when you think about it, it's kind of shocking, was manually edited. with the machines and the tape and the everything.
Yep.
So this is the first movie that was digitally edited.
Interesting.
And because it was based on the book, it definitely, this story the movie took a lot of liberties with the book.
Okay.
As it had to, which was fiction as well, although it was based on a real person that none of these things had happened to.
Interesting.
Which the Laszlo character, the Ray Fiennes character, was a real person.
Okay.
Did not live this life in any way. So very strange. So it did have some concerns of like, how long did it take for him to get back to Scott Thomas? In the book, it took him 3 years to get back to the cave.
Wow.
So I'm guessing from the manner in which he found Kristen Scott Thomas probably wasn't 3 years in the movie.
No.
So it took a long time.
I think it was like 3 days there and back is what he said.
Right, but then he had to get the train, and then he had to get the Germans to buy the maps, and so it was. He knew she was dead when he got there, or would be, but 3 years did not convey well. Exactly.
All right. I remembered watching this movie and really enjoying it. I saw it in the theater, probably because I was dating someone who wanted to go see it. And I remember really enjoying it. So I went in with very high hopes.
Okay.
I did not come away with those high hopes after watching it again. First off, gorgeous, lush, beautiful scenery that was captured. I mean, you just stick a camera anywhere here and it's going to look good. The acting I thought was all top notch. Some of the second and third characters levels were fine, but the main characters, I thought everybody was spot on.
Yeah.
They were believable. They did exactly what they wanted. The direction I thought was fine. For this kind of story, you don't really have to do a lot. You just kind of set a camera, tell people what to do. So I thought all of that was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I just find so much of this movie not believable.
Like the fact him going back to the cave, probably.
Yes. The love story, I didn't buy it, and I don't know if that was chemistry or if it was just the way that it was set up, because there really is no setup. It's just like Rafe's character is basically saying, hey, take care of your wife, you really should be the man and take care of your wife.
Yeah.
And then they're sleeping together. And then they're deeply, passionately in love. Didn't buy any of it.
Okay, so interesting, because I don't disagree with you, but I liked that part of it, and
Okay.
I'll tell you why.
Absolutely.
So I don't think I've revisited it since it came out maybe, but I remembered liking it, and when I watched it again, I liked it again. So the way I looked at it was more, you're right, first of all, the two time pieces.
Yeah.
I much preferred being in the present, or the more latter day
Juliette
with Juliette
Binoche
Binoche storyline.
Yeah.
I much preferred that because I liked the people, I liked the found family element of them living in that burnt out church or whatever. So I really enjoyed just that timeline, what was happening. I didn't enjoy as much being in the past.
I 100% agree.
And I agree with you that their love story was not a great love story.
No.
But I thought that worked in juxtaposition.
That's
it. That's a great word. Juxtaposition to, you have two people who fall in love, and it is to their downfall and kills them. And you have Hannah and Kip who fall in love, and it brings her back to a place of the living.
Okay.
So I saw it as two different love stories, one that ended and had to end horribly, and another love story that brought joy back to somebody's life, even if they don't end up together.
So two contrasting love stories, here's the bad one, here's the good one, and that was the point. If that was indeed the case, then I think this executed that beautifully.
That's what I got out of it. I don't know if that was what was intended, but that's what I got out of it, and that's why I did like it, because you're right, their love story was terrible. He wasn't nice to her. You don't get the feeling that he really did love her. He was more obsessed with her.
Yeah.
And
like a possession.
Yes, exactly. And she, I think, did love him, but hated herself for loving him. So that's the way I looked at it.
No, I agree. I really did enjoy the Juliette Binoche timeline when he's sick in the bed. And when, I can't remember the actor's name, but when Saeed came on, I went, Saeed!
Yes.
Saeed from Lost fame, the actor.
Yeah. Naveen Andrews?
Yes, Naveen Andrews. Good job.
Yep.
So I really did enjoy that one. Even like, first off, he's really good, and she's amazing.
She was the heart of this movie. She won this movie for me. Yeah.
His job is to take and dismantle the bombs, and when they have that big one scene, and like you can feel the tension rise, and in your head you're like, this is not going to go well. This
Yep.
is going to absolutely blow up. It's going to be in front of her. This is going to be super tragic, and it didn't happen. And when it didn't, it was handled well. Like the tension didn't fully go away.
Yeah.
It was still there. That was executed beautifully. Like, good. I'm glad Saeed
like him
didn't die.
falling into the bomb of holy crap, he thought he was gonna die too.
I'm glad he didn't, but I really enjoyed the way they handled that, because it wasn't like a bait and switch, like, oh,
No.
he's still alive.
No.
It was a very tense moment that was executed beautifully, and not all of the tension got released, so I really enjoyed that.
Yep.
Again, I just didn't buy the two of them, and maybe it's just because they were portraying their characters so well,
Yeah.
that I just didn't really like either of them, and I just kept feeling bad for Colin Firth.
Oh, you were supposed to feel bad for Colin Firth, even though he then tried to kill this guy and ended up killing himself and his wife. And
Yeah.
so, it's very much the Sam Neill and the piano.
Yes.
You feel really good for him, really bad for him until he loses his mind.
Yeah.
And then not so sympathetic anymore. But yeah, I loved the idea of the little wounded band of people coming together in that castle and healing each other. Even William Dafoe was fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, he's often an underrated actor. People
So
forget
underrated.
how good he is.
Everything I see him in, he is so, so good. And I loved that, Kip helped her come back to the world, and hearing the story, I think, alleviated William Dafoe's character of all of his bitterness and hatred. And so I really loved that piece of it. And Ray Fiennes' character just... He wanted to die, he needed to die, and Hannah helped him as much as it pained her to do so.
Yeah.
So I liked the story. Another one, so there was like those moments of great tension of the one you just named, when Juliette Binoche was walking through the minefield,
Yeah.
because I think at that point she didn't care if she died either.
Yeah.
That she didn't care if she died, and she just saw something of her friends, and she was laser focused on that. And then the other piece was the sandstorm, where the friends were trapped in the car under the sand,
yeah.
and they were digging them out. And in that moment, I couldn't remember if they got them out or not when I was watching it for the second time just now. And I'm like, oh my God, are they going to die? Are they not? I couldn't remember, and I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, the movie is well crafted. There isn't really a lot of tension moments in the backstory line that we're getting with Kirsten Scott Thomas. There's
Yes.
not a lot of tension there. It's just
Yeah.
like things are stated, and he's just a dick the entire time.
He is. He's not a great person.
No. So it's not as enjoyable, because you're not really... I never got emotionally invested in any of them. So I couldn't latch on to things as much. It was just, here's a portrayal of horrible people doing things.
Yep.
And the contrasted, which you're absolutely correct, it is 100% contrasted with a story that you're watching develop and getting deeply invested in.
Yeah.
I was even invested in Ray Fiennes' character, even though I knew he was a dick.
Yeah.
In that timeline, I was invested in him. I just wasn't
Because you
before.
cared more about him when he
Yep.
was with this band of people,
Yep.
rather than when he was with Kristen Scott Thomas and that whole crew.
I think overall, that's probably part of my problem is, and I get now, and it makes total sense, the contrast in love stories, but I think that's just a little too much to take on, and it becomes heavy-handed on one side, whereas I don't think the crafting and attention was the same on the other side. Like the
Right.
bad, horrible side, you can still connect with bad, horrible people. We've seen tons of movies
Oh
where
gosh, yeah.
that's happened, but this one just didn't do that.
Nope, totally fair, because it was so much better to be in the later timeline.
One of the things that I did like, one of the interesting parts to me was when you start to do the modern timeline as opposed to the flashbacks, and you understand that Ray's character is just a dick.
Yep.
And the amount of love that comes out of Juliette Binoche's character towards him, it just kept making me ask the question, like, it does honestly beg the idea of when someone doesn't know you, how easy it is to have affection
Yes, that's
for
a great
someone.
point.
Because we know he's a dick.
Yeah.
She does not, and she's just filled with love and empathy for him, trying to make him better. And it just begs that question, like,
Yeah.
would that be the same if she knew who he was? Probably not, but...
Maybe not. And it's interesting what you're saying, because I think we both have the same opinion of his love affair with Kristen Scott Thomas. And I think in the moment when it first came out, people thought it was a grand love affair that was doomed. Like, no, I just had two really selfish people who screwed around on Colin Firth.
Yep.
Okay. So we're both getting that piece. But I don't think that's what the intent of the movie was, which, again, would be a failure.
Yeah, I think they were trying to make it more of a grand romance.
Yeah.
And it absolutely does not work in that
I did
fashion.
not see it as that.
There's also an awkward scene very early on in their affair. Like, you have Kristen Scott Thomas's character in a very particular form of garb, like sand garb or desert garb, whatever you want to call it, throughout most of your introduction. And then suddenly she's in this like light white cottony dress.
Yeah.
And the juxtaposition just is so jarring. Like, just as a costume choice, first off, that dress didn't really compliment her or anything like that, but that doesn't matter. It was just, it's so jarring that it completely takes me out of it.
I hadn't noticed that, but I know exactly what you're talking about now that you say that. That's, really good observation. I hadn't noticed that. You're right. And clearly they wanted that for a reason.
Yes.
But did it work?
Yeah, no, I don't think it did. Like, some sort of other garb that would have been, I mean, I get it, in the desert, white is a very common thing because of sun, etc. But something else, rather than have it be just so jarring. And it was supposed to be a more casual, kind of intimate kind of thing.
Yes.
So I get why they went with it. But in retrospect, when you watch it, it's like, no, it just, boom, takes you out of it. Like, some other outfit, please.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so I liked a lot half of this movie.
Excellent. I liked the movie as a whole because of what one half of it brought to the other half.
Okay, and I get that
Yeah.
I get that contrast, and in that aspect, I think the movie holds up far better than what I was looking at it as.
And also, I would argue that I would have supported Juliette Binoche as best actress in this movie,
Yep.
and having Kristen Scott Thomas be labeled the supporting actress. I understand why they did it the way that they did it. They both probably shared the same amount of screen time, but Juliette Binoche was the heart of this movie.
Yeah, and I forget how ravishing both of them actually are.
Gorgeous women.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I don't have anything else about that. I'm glad, and I probably will never watch it again.
From the sands of Tunisia, we go to North Dakota.
North Dakota with Fargo. Fargo, written, directed, produced, and edited by Joel and Ethan Coen. Stars Frances McDormand, William H. Macy, Steve Buscemi, Peter Stormare, Harvey Presnell, Kirsten Rudrud, and John Carroll Lynch. Nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Original Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, and it won for Screenplay, and Frances got her first Oscar.
She did, in fact. So the first fun fact is this is the only one of the 5 that had been on the AFI list.
Okay,
In the original list, it was number 84, and it fell off the newer list. So it's no longer on the AFI Top 100
I wonder if it was
list.
replaced by another Coen Brothers movie,
Oh, it might be.
like Oh Brother Where Art Thou or something.
Yeah, I don't think that's that high up there, but it could have been. We'll take a look. The other fun fact, which you just alluded to, was this is the first of Frances McDormand's 4 Oscars. So she got 1 for producing Nomadland, as well as starring in it, and then also starring in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Montana. And also that big old Paul Bunyan statue, that was not real. They actually made it for the movie.
Okay.
For some reason I thought that might have been real.
I would think that there would be, I thought at one point there was a big old statue, but maybe not.
Nope, not there and not of Paul Bunyan.
All right, I'm going to start out by saying this about this film. I love the Coen Brothers. They are my jam. They have my sense of humor, my sensibilities, absolutely everything. Some of the latter films, not so much, but definitely all their early work. In fact, my number 1 movie of all time is a film of theirs, Miller's Crossing. Sometimes films can be like a band or a song. You go through phases. You love it, and then you've just heard it so much that you kind of, like, you just become numb to it, and then you hear it like 50 more times, and then you're back into loving it again. Unfortunately, the time that I was watching this, I was in the numb phase.
You're out on the particular Fargo.
That's not to take away from the movie's brilliance. I think this movie is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I could not have the enjoyment that I normally did, because I've reached that point of I've watched it so many times that I'm in a numb phase now.
Saturation.
Yeah. One thing, and we'll address this real quick, there are two things that I want to address. One, it starts out saying this is a true story.
Yeah.
It is absolutely not a true story.
Right.
And people have tried to go and find it. It is based loosely on some actual events that did happen in the area, but very loosely based.
I didn't even know that it was loosely based. I
Yeah.
thought it was completely fiction.
No, it's,
Okay.
there were some things that did happen it's loosely based on, but it is not a depiction of any of those things that happened.
Okay.
The second thing, and this is an urban myth, is when they're driving down, they have the person in the trunk, the wife in the trunk, and they're driving and they shoot the cops, and then the car goes by, and then he turns around and speeds off after them. The car goes off the road, and you see a person get out and start to run.
Yep.
Urban myth that was Prince. That persuaded for a very, very long time.
I never heard that.
Yep.
Oh, wild.
And
Okay.
it has been 100% disproven that it was absolutely not Prince. But it was
Minnesota.
rumored that persisted for a long period of time.
Okay, that's hilarious, and it makes sense, the
Yep.
whole Minnesota of it.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
So that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to let you kind of take the big
The
portion of
reins?
this one
Okay.
because
So let me tell you, when I first saw this movie, which was when it first came out, and I saw it in the theater, I did not love it, and I think it's because I just didn't get it.
Yep.
It was so very different from
Yep.
anything I'd seen at the time.
makes absolute sense.
So since then, I've seen several seasons of the TV show,
Which is so good.
which caused me to revisit the movie, which I then loved. So I think I was either too immature in my movie-going tastes at the beginning and just didn't get what they were doing. Now like it very much and really appreciate it. And I still am in the love it phase.
Good.
So I really enjoyed it. I think that this is just so funny and so quietly funny.
Yeah.
Like one of the best scenes in this film, and I think one of the best scenes in film, is Marge talking to the two sex workers in the bar. And it's like, oh yeah, the little guy?
Yeah.
And just, oh yeah. And it's over the top, and it's very, very funny, and nothing is supposed to be funny about that particular scene, and I just absolutely love it. And I also love the things that they did that were very small pieces that they never kind of went back to. First of all, they set it up fast. Like,
yeah.
I gotta get my wife kidnapped, I'm in financial trouble, this is what's going to happen, my father-in-law is an asshole, and like that's all set up super quick.
Yep.
You're in it, you know who these guys are. And then the fact that Marge is pregnant, I absolutely love, because that has nothing to do with the story whatsoever.
Nope, but does interfere every once in a while.
It interferes every once in a while, but also it's just like, when you see, it's like Chekhov and the gun. If you see a gun, you've got to see the gun shot by the last act. If you see a woman who's pregnant in a movie, you are expecting that she's going to give birth somewhere in the course of the movie. And she didn't, and she wasn't, and
No,
I
she
love
was
that.
just existing, like with the things that happen when you're pregnant. Like
Yeah.
she gets morning sickness at a
Yeah.
crime scene, and it's just a
Exactly.
moment. She just needs a moment, and then she moves on. It's like
Exactly.
also matter of fact.
Super hungry, gotta eat a lot, and
Yep.
her husband is like Mr. Good Guy, very, very sweet. I love it.
The Coen brothers do two things incredibly well, and oftentimes they're either in the same scene or they're juxtaposed. They do tragic and comic
Yes.
very, very well.
Yeah.
And one of their talents is being able to move very fluidly between those, and often have a scene that is both tragic and funny at the exact same time. They just do that, I think, better than anybody else.
One scene that I will point out is, and again, like there were moments of brilliance in this movie. Like one scene that I would say is both of those things, is the guy putting the foot through the wood chipper.
Yeah.
And so like this man has killed his partner, he's shoving his body in the wood chipper, and Marge comes up to arrest him, and you've just got the foot sticking up out of the wood chipper. Hilarious and terrible all at the same time. And I just love that.
And one of the things, and this is where I think they're also very brilliant, is because they're in all of these absurd situations that people are in, they ground themselves in reality. That scene in particular, she's coming up to arrest him, she pulls out her gun, and she starts to tell him to like stop, but he can't hear her because he's over the wood chipper pushing the foot in.
Exactly.
And that is a very real thing that just heightens this absurd scene.
It's true, because so many movies do have that moment of, and this is the way it's supposed to happen, and it bugs me when, okay, it's just convenient, and that's the way it happened.
Yeah.
One of the, I think another shot of this movie that's brilliant, and it shows that they don't have to say everything, and not everything has to be thunked over the head. You don't have to be thunked over the head in this movie, is they're up on the rooftop, up on the airport kind of parking lot roof, and there's the car, and there's the father-in-law's body, and you just see the trunk open. And you're like, okay, I know what happens here. And it was just like a beautiful, slow moment. Like, yep, all right, so daddy goes in the trunk.
Yep. One of my favorite scenes, and again, it's utilizing the reality of the situation, is the actual kidnapping scene. That is so incredibly well done. It is hysterical, it's tragic. One of my favorite things is, so she runs into the bathroom, closes the door, has the phone, and she's doing it. But it's old school phones with the very, very long cord, and the guy's just like, yank, and it goes under. And then she tries to climb out the window, but a very small detail, it's not like a window that you open, it's a hand crank, so it takes forever, and she can't get out in time, so she has to hide. Just little details like that make it so much better. One last thing real quick. Every time I see this movie, I always catch something new. And I caught something that this time I thought was a little out of place.
Oh, okay.
So you have this very wholesome kind of family, like the mom getting kidnapped, Jerry Lindegaard being the dad, and the kid.
I know what you're going to say.
In the bathroom, there's a Playboy. Which is very much an 80s thing, 100%, but it also seems slightly out of place for this family.
It didn't seem out of place. I know, I clocked it. And it made me laugh.
Yeah.
Because
it made me laugh too.
But because actually Playboy was pretty universal.
It was.
So, yeah.
And it became a joke, but it was absolutely true, and I was one of them. People did read it for the articles because they were really good.
There you go. So yes, I clocked it and it made me laugh, but it didn't bother me. So I'm gonna go to the cons part of this movie. There's only one part, and I would be interested in your thoughts on it, is the ex-boyfriend Mike. Like, I just thought that whole thing was pointless. He calls her up, she goes and has dinner with him, she's kind of like getting all gussied, but he turns out to be like a crazy liar and hitting on pregnant woman he hasn't seen in 15 years, and it all seemed pointless to me.
Yeah, it is a little extraneous. There is no real point except for you get deeper into Marge's character and who she is. That's really the point of it. Like, because you see fully on display how kind she is to other people, how accepting she is of how other people are. Because this guy clearly crosses a line.
Yes.
And she doesn't allow that to continue, but she's also being super sweet and nice about it the entire time. So I got it, but I agree. You could have taken that away.
Yeah. But and also there was a moment of, you see her husband is wonderful to her, he's a good, kind man, she clearly loves him as well. But yet, she put on her lipstick, she got to the Twin Cities where maybe she didn't have to do that.
Sure.
And so I do wonder, is that the vehicle that got her to the Twin Cities? Would she have gone down to investigate if she didn't want to have dinner with this guy?
I think so.
I think so too, but like that's the only thing that gets me there.
The only real, and I agree with all of that, the only other negative thing that I have about this film is while she's driving, looking for the car, which is a very common car. It's very convenient that she just happens to be driving past the house and see the car and then somehow know that that's the car. That is all very convenient.
It is. It very much is. But that's the only like very convenient part. Everything else I think was earned.
The opening I thought was great. You know how much I love good opening, because it really does kind of set the tone for where you are, as well as kind of the overall tone of the film. So I love the opening. Have you ever spent much time in that area, North Dakota?
I have not. No.
I had two best men at my wedding. One is from Grand Forks, which is about 45 minutes north of Fargo, so I've spent time there.
Okay.
This is all very accurate.
I'm not surprised. I mean, because it's not like Maine, but it's enough like Maine in the winter if the winter were a lot longer and a lot harsher.
And with vastly more open space.
Good point. Yeah, probably northern Maine is very much like this.
Yeah.
But great movie, super fun.
Quotable
really enjoyed it. Quotable lines. They do a lot with a little, and the performance just makes it. The
Coen brothers, one of the highest compliments you can give like a team or an individual director is that their films are uniquely theirs. You can recognize that it's theirs, and theirs obviously are. So yeah, full on props.
Did the accent ever bother you? Because that is some criticism that it's gotten with the accent was too much.
The accent was it's a little bit a little over the
Sure.
top, not a lot, but a little over the top. At least from my time spent in North Dakota. But people do have that accent. That is their accent.
Oh,
It's just it was just stressed.
Yeah, from there.
It's kind of like how people do the down east accent here in Maine, where
Yeah.
they go a little over the top with it. Is it accurate? Not 100%, but you're in the ballpark. We get it.
Well, and the thing is that they're doing it for the humor of it.
Yeah.
Like when somebody, and I forget what we watched, but we watched something recently with a Boston accent that was intended to be a genuine Boston accent. And that annoys the crap out of me. But if everybody's doing it like Mayor Quimby on The Simpsons because they want it to be heightened and funny, that's fine. And that's the way I took this one, and I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, so the Coen brothers, this is their third film, I think.
Mm-hmm.
No, their fourth, sorry. So it was Blood Simple, their first one, and then Miller's Crossing, and then Barton Fink, and then this one.
Where's Raising Arizona?
Oh no, so it's their fifth one. Raising Arizona was right before Miller's Crossing, you're right.
Okay, all right, cool.
I forgot that they did that, oh my god, that's so funny.
I love that movie, and not that, this is not really an official fun fact, but obviously Frances McDormand had an in getting into this movie.
Yes.
Is it Joel Coen that she was married to, or Ethan?
I can't remember which
Okay,
one.
she's married to a Coen.
They become interchangeable. I mean,
Yeah.
you see them, and they're obviously two very different people,
Yeah.
but they become interchangeable as far as the names for me. So, all right, shall we move on to a particular film called Jerry Maguire?
Let's do it.
All right, Jerry Maguire, written and directed by Cameron Crowe, who I do like. It was produced by Crowe and James L. Brooks, who is also phenomenal. It stars Tom Cruise, Cuba Gooding Jr., Renee Zellweger, Kelly Preston, Jerry O'Connell, Jay Moore, Bonnie Hunt, and Regina King. Nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor for Cruise, Best Supporting for Cuba, Best Screenplay, Best Film Editing, and Cuba did win for Best Supporting Actor.
The facts are, so the Dorothy role that went to Renee Zellweger was between her and Connie Britton.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely could have also seen Connie Britton
I
in
can
this
too.
role.
I like her a
They were,
lot.
yeah, so either one of them, I thought Renee Zellweger made sense. She was so young, beautiful, fresh-faced, but I could have seen Connie Britton.
Yeah.
The score was done by Nancy Wilson from Heart,
Oh,
who
okay.
was
I
married
didn't know
to Cameron Crowe at the time, and that's why.
that. Got it.
And my last fun fact is that the human head actually weighs 10 to 11 pounds average.
Why are we talking about
Because the little kid keeps saying the human head weighs 8 pounds.
that? That's right. That's right.
So he was wrong. So that's it.
Okay, I'm gonna just start with this one. I didn't like this film the first time it came out. I've never liked this film. In fact, if I were to make a top 10 list of the most hated films of all time for me, this would be on the list.
I hate this movie. I've always hated this movie. It is a terrible, terrible movie, and I have 47 reasons why.
We can talk about this as much as you want to. We can do what we did with Ghost, and we can just rip this movie apart, or we can kind of quickly move through it and just hit some highlights. I will start with a couple highlights. This is the epitome of a Tom Cruise movie to me. It is all about Tom Cruise, and it is again a Tom Cruise movie where I don't believe the change at all. Tom Cruise movies, when he does like a good action movie, I mean,
Oh, Mission Impossible, every one of them. I
even
love.
something like War of the Worlds, even though it was a bad film, I
Yeah.
will watch that because he does action very, very well. What he doesn't do well are these kind of things. I just never buy him as the character he's portraying. If he was just going to be a dick the entire time, like he was in Magnolia, Respect the Cock, that character, he
I
can
forgot
do
about
that. He can do that all day long and be amazing. His role in Tropic Thunder is beautiful.
Yes.
But he can't, I don't know whether, I mean, I gotta chalk it up to him at this point. It can't be just directors. I don't buy him undergoing the change. I just don't buy it.
He can't do vulnerability, and he can't do somebody who is empathetic very well.
No.
No, I agree with that. One of my highlights is, I also like Cameron Crowe. I've liked a lot of his movies.
Almost Famous is fantastic.
I agree. I love his writing. It is like Cameron Crowe has never met a woman or talked to a guy in his life. So first of all, like, and I think it's true, and I don't even think this is a gender thing because we both hate this movie. Every woman in this movie is a shrill shrew, except for two, which is Regina King and Renee Zellweger, and their only purpose is to lift up and support their man. So like, I get it. I know that there are like male-centered movies, and you know we're in a time when women are not the center of a lot of movies. I get that, but it's like he's never met a woman. There is nobody in here with any character of any kind that's in any way important. Every shot of Renee Zellweger is her gazing upon Tom Cruise, who I would say his character doesn't even like her. He likes her son. He wants the family. He is all about, even when they're breaking up, his question is, what about Ray? Ray, right?
Yeah.
What about the kid? I always got a sense that he liked him and the idea of having a family better than he liked her. You've got his ex-girlfriend who is, again, the minute he runs into any trouble, she dumps him. And she sounded like a prize to start with when he tells the story of how they got engaged. But nobody has any role in here of any value. Even like Celia Ward in the Harrison Ford in Fugitive.
Yeah.
Like at least you see in the 10 minutes she's on screen that she's alive, why she loves her husband and that she is her own separate person.
The closest, and you can correct me if I think I'm over speaking, the closest that you get to a fully drawn out female character is Bonnie Hunt's character.
Yes.
Because she does do a bunch of things. She is the supportive sister. She's also has a very good dry wit about her.
Yep.
And when she is in scenes, she is the one that's in command of that scene, even because it's subtle and done down. Her character, I think, is the most drawn out as far as females. The rest of them,
Yeah.
I agree, they have a function and that is it.
I did have as a positive Bonnie Hunt's performance, and I think it's not the character she's given, it's what she did with it.
Yeah.
And Jay Moore, because he did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah,
He was a complete jerk.
Yes.
And he did it well, and he did it beautifully, and he did it really funny in a couple of places when he was interjecting himself, and the firing scene.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, I think you're right that Bonnie Hunt is the closest to somebody with any kind of character, but again, she is brought in as being bitter and living in her bitterness.
Yep. I did like how this is my only real positive. I did like how the movie opens. You basically like here's a sports world. They develop that very quickly, so you understand how sports agents work, what their mentality is, and you're very quickly brought into that world. So that was good writing. The concept of then challenging that, I was like, okay, this will be a fun thing to do to see what happens. Someone challenging the status quo. Movies do that all the time. This will be a fun exploration. But that's just like dropped off. Like, it's just quickly, I'm leaving. Who's coming with me? And of course, the only person that does is Renee's character. And I fucking hate this movie.
I didn't like that part only because I liked the setup of, okay, so here's a sports agency and here's this guy who's going to challenge it. But it was all read in voiceover.
Yeah.
It was all exposition, and I hate exposition. It was just, let me tell you about the world that I live in and what I do and how I'm now going to challenge it.
Yep.
The one scene that I did think earned Cuba Gooding Jr. his Oscar was the Show Me the Money.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was, you saw Tom Cruise just absolutely losing his mind and finally going along with it. I liked that. It was very funny. It was frothy. It didn't mean anything to the rest of the movie, but I thought it was basically well done.
And their relationship, their quote-unquote friendship that they quote-unquote develop, and I'm sorry, I'm doing quote-unquote because none of it really works.
Yeah.
It does, that part didn't even work. Like, and it's not that they don't have chemistry or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just that the way it was written and it just fucking blows. I'm sorry.
No, and I would say also like the dancing in the end zone at the end, that was too much. It was basically, I said it was bloated and overindulgent.
Yes, 100%, in a lot of aspects.
And can we stop talking about it now?
Yes!
I hate this movie.
Me too.
It's terrible. I think we are probably only two people in the world that feel this way though. I've never met another Jerry Maguire hater.
Really?
Yeah. Everybody else, including women, just love the love story.
Yeah, it's pandering.
It's not a love story.
No.
He's a jerk and she
All right.
Can go with it. Okay.
We're going to move on to Secret and Lies now.
Okay.
Secrets and Lies. So this is a film written and directed by Mike Leigh. Are you familiar with his other films?
I looked them up, but I wasn't familiar at the time.
Okay. I went through a Mike Leigh phase.
Oh, neat. Okay.
He's done like 20, 25 films, all indies.
Yeah.
And I've seen at least half of them,
Oh,
if
nice.
not more.
Okay.
So this stars Timothy Spall, Brenda Blethyn, Phyllis Logan, Marianne Jean-Baptiste, Claire Rushbrook. It was nominated for Best Actress in a Leading Role, Best Actress in a Supporting Role, Best Director, Best Picture, Best Writing, Screenplay written directly for the screen. Sadly did not win anything.
Okay. Fun facts was, I was going to say, Mike Leigh is a prolific theater, TV, and movie director who used a regular stable of
Yes.
of actors. It
Yeah.
sounded very Christopher Guest to me, the way they were describing him. And Timothy Spall, who played Morris, was one of them. And a lot of them were used in that montage of people getting their portraits taken by him.
Oh, yeah.
Like you've got the woman with the dog with the flea collar is actually Mike Leigh's wife.
Okay.
And then a bunch of the other people that were, the person with the twins and the triplets and all that kind of stuff, the couples, they were actors that he has used in a bunch of his other movies and projects.
Yeah, he definitely has a staple of people that he goes
Yeah.
back to over and over and over again. And, we see this with other directors as well, but him in particular, like, it's just the same actor, different role, different whatever.
Exactly.
So
had you seen this before
Yep.
in viewing? Okay.
Yep.
All right, this was my first time.
One of my just side note, one of my favorites that he did is a movie called Naked, which is all set in Scotland, and it's just basically a guy walking around, it might be Edinburgh, I don't remember what city, but just walking around at night, and just meeting people and the encounters that he has and re-meeting people. It's just, it's so much fun. I haven't
Cool.
seen it in 20 years, so let's hope.
Okay, yeah,
Anyway,
that's right. Who knows now?
Mike Leigh films in particular are emotional character studies.
Yes.
And this is 100% that. And to me, this is how to do it and do it well.
Mhm.
Whether you like the story or not does not really matter for these films, because this is a character-driven film, and it's all about the emotions of the characters, not just here's a well-defined character, watch them go through something.
Yeah.
It's about their emotional attachments and how they react to things.
And their interaction and dynamics. Yeah.
I will say I can understand why someone would not like this, but for me, I really enjoy this type of film. It is
Okay.
something I can dive into, and the voyage of it is worthwhile. I am actually watching, I'm not playing on my phone, I'm not doing something else, because of the way it is all handled and the emotional impact of it. Again, I think this is a class in how to do that and do that correctly.
Yep. I liked it very much. I didn't love it, but I appreciated what he was doing. I think it could have been a little tighter. A movie
Yeah.
like this that is over 2 hours seems a lot to me.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's the one piece. If it was a little shorter, a little bit tighter, I think I would have liked it a little bit more. There was one piece I just didn't understand the necessity that dragged it down a little bit. But at the end of the day, this type of movie succeeds or fails based on its performances.
Yeah.
And Brenda Blethyn's I want to set aside for a minute because I want to explore that, but other than hers, everybody I absolutely loved as very believable, very realistic family dynamics.
Yep.
I loved the setup, I loved who they were, I especially loved Timothy Spall. Loved him, I thought his performance was great. It was a little soapy, but not over the top.
Yeah.
And I'd be interested but can we talk about Brenda Blethyn?
That's mom.
The mom.
Okay.
That's the mom. She was a little too shrill for me. She was just a little too overwrought all the time.
And I can see that, and I can see people having an issue or problem with that. I was fine with it because, again, knowing her circumstances, and when you kind of view things through her lens, she's consistently always trying to reach out and get affirmation from other people, and she's constantly getting shut down, with the exception of her brother.
Right.
Everybody else in her world that she interacts with has a negative view or a negative affront to her all the time.
And because of her just wanting so much
Yep.
all the time. And even the brother, it sounds like he hasn't been in her life in the last several months, that they've had a little bit of not a falling out, but just more of a spending time apart while
Yep.
he's with his wife and doing the new house and all that kind of stuff. So, and she just is so needy
She
that it was just a little bit too much for me. But not unbelievable. Yet we all know people like this.
Yes, we do.
That's the hardest part. But yeah, it was a really good, really interesting movie. I loved the daughter. Hortense,
Yeah.
right? Hortense Cumberbatch. First of all, fabulous name. But she was wonderful, and I do like Marianne Baptiste.
Yeah.
Marianne Jean Baptiste.
Uh,
Marianne Jean Baptiste. Yes, I saw that.
Marianne Jean Baptiste.
So I thought she was perfect because she was a little trepidatious, exploring this, not sure what she was going to get out of it, and she was just so joyous. You know, she really was. She was just going to get out of this whatever this woman had to give her.
Yep.
And I thought that was fantastic.
One of the criticisms I will give of the film is when she finally goes and meets her birth mom, and they're sitting at the table, and the mom is basically like, there's no possible way I can be your mother, I've never slept with a black man.
Yeah.
And it's less than 90 seconds later that some sort of light bulb goes off,
Yeah.
and then there's a recognition. Like, that to me was the weakest part and was kind of mishandled. Because suddenly she then breaks down because she had a memory. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't buy that. I didn't buy it.
See, my assumption, and there's another statement that she makes later in the film, is that she was the victim of a sexual assault.
And that very well
Yeah.
could be the case.
And that she had put that behind a wall.
And because when she does confess of who the person was later on in the film, that does, it is in contrast to that. So that might be the case, and if so, I would have liked a little bit more of that to be just a little bit plainer, or a little bit explained just a little bit better rather than a sudden breakdown.
Yeah, I agree with you that it wasn't handled well, but I think it was pretty clear from her reaction and from the later on when she does ask about her father and the answer is, oh, don't break my heart. That's probably what that is. And so while she's thinking that my chosen sex partner is your father, and I had a baby by the man I chose to have, that I chose to sleep with, never occurred to her that it might be somebody she didn't choose to sleep with. So I think that that's probably what it was, but not terribly well handled.
All of this, of course, leads to the deception of her bringing her daughter to see how they get along, and then of course things go horribly awry, and in a very believable way.
Oh, that was the most believable scene.
Yeah.
Was family dynamics gone wacko.
What I absolutely loved, and you're correct, the brother's character says one of the most heartbreaking things during that speech. Like, the three people I love most in this world, they can't get along, and I'm tired and stuck on being in the middle. I can't do it anymore. Like, that is real, genuine. You can see that happening, and that is a plea, an absolute plea. All of that was handled, I think, wonderfully, and it could not have worked if the actors were not up to the task. Like, even if it was brilliantly written on paper, if you can't pull that scene off, it's never going to work. And that is the culmination for me. It is what you can watch the entire movie just for that one 5-10 minute scene, and it's worth it.
And that's it. Is just he is such a good, kind man who he just wants to be enough for everybody. He wants the love that he can give his sister to be enough for her, and for her to just not need more. He wants to be enough with his wife so that she doesn't keep going and trying to have a child that they know they can't have. And it's just it's very sad and very believable.
The only real kind of relationship that he has that he can relax into is the one with his niece.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell that they have a good, they joke with each other.
They're cheesy and like very, very like child and dad figure.
Yes, both of them can kind of relax in their love and their relationship with the other person, and those are the only two, and it's the only relationship they can. Everything else is at odds. The daughter is at odds with her mom. I think a lot of that is her choosing. And so it's the only relationship in this entire film where you can see two people just kind of relax and be. So I liked that it was not a lot of that, but they
Yeah.
were like respite moments. They were perfectly placed, just like, here's a nice little thing that you can see before we get to some heavy stuff.
You can see a lightness in her
Yeah.
with him that you don't see, with the daughter that you don't see anywhere else. The other piece I loved about that is the boyfriend and the coworker Jane, who were at this family event when shit was hitting the fan.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I have been in situations where I am wildly uncomfortable in a family that is not mine and things are happening. And you're just like, I'm fly on the wall, I wanna leave, I wanna leave.
Yeah, yeah.
It was so realistic and cringy feeling.
And if you pay attention, like the coworker in particular, I was watching her as they were kind of blowing up. That actress did a really good job of showing like I'm feeling super uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want to be here. And then after all of the confessions come out, she breaks down sobbing because of the moment that just happened.
Exactly.
Like, I give her props because none of that was telegraphed in any way, and she didn't
Yep.
vocalize anything. It was just body movement.
Yeah, she did a great job, and I thought the boyfriend was a very, very small role that he did well.
Yep.
So no, I thought it was a very sweet movie, a little bit long. Oh, the only thing that I didn't like, much like Fargo, there's like this weird side story about Stuart, who had sold them the photography business, and
Yeah.
they see him in the park, and he walks in, and there's a whole scene there that didn't make sense before. No one speaks of it after. What was the point?
I think it was just character development.
Yeah, I don't think it was necessary, because I thought we got a good sense of who those people were.
I don't either. I thought the scene was very well written, very well acted, and it was beautifully shot. But the scene itself was not necessary to the story that was being told.
Right, you can lift that whole scene out and you don't lose a thing.
Yep, I agree. So yeah, this is like a sleeper of a film. It is, if you like emotional character studies, this is absolutely the movie for you.
Yep, totally agree with that.
All right, let's move on to the last, Shine. This is a film directed by Scott Hicks from a screenplay by Jan Sardi, based on the life of a real-life person, David Helfgott. He was a pianist who suffered a mental breakdown and spent years in institution. So this is based on his life. It is not a 100% accurate portrayal, but it is based on his life. Stars Armin Mueller-Stahl, who was in one of your favorite movies, Avalon.
Yes.
Noah Taylor, Jeffrey Rush, Lynn Redgrave, Googie Withers, which is a great name, Sonia Todd, and John Gielgud. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Screenplay, Best Film Editing, Best Original Dramatic Score, and Jeffrey did win the Oscar for Best Actor. Go to the facts.
Okay, the facts are, so according to the director, Scott Hicks, the title Shine was inspired by Pink Floyd's track Shine On You Crazy Diamond.
Oh, okay.
Which is written in tribute to their first band leader, Sid
Sid
Barrett,
Barrett, yeah.
who was a musical genius who suffered from mental illness. So I thought that was interesting. And also, David is alive and well and living in Australia. His wife, Jillian, just passed away 2 years ago at age of 90.
Oh, well, good for
So
them.
that, I mean, it's just very strange to see this and know that he's still living on.
I saw this one, I didn't see it in the theater, it was a rental that I had. This is how I discovered Jeffrey Rush. I know
Okay.
he'd been around for a while before, but this is how I discovered
This
him.
is how most people discovered him, I think. Yeah.
And I was also going through, this was convenient timing, I was going through a resurgence of a classical music phase.
Oh, perfect.
So I latched on hard to the Rachmaninoff Third, which if you've never heard that piece, they play it in the thing,
Yeah.
but it is amazing. It is so damn good. So that is where my love of Rachmaninoff comes from, is from this film, so thank you for that. I do believe that Jeffrey Rush did deserve the Oscar. I thought his performance was phenomenal, and it was slightly different. Like, this is the rise of, like, if you have an affliction, you're gonna get an Oscar kind of
Pretty
thing.
much, yeah.
But the way that he had to actually speak, that quick pace,
Oh, yeah.
and the constant, the consistency of that, I'll give it to him all day long, because that is a unique way. It's not just Forrest Gump. It's like, there is a rhythm, there is a pattern, and it has to be constantly kept up.
Agree.
I would not have given him a Best Actor. I think his role in this movie is a supporting actor.
I totally agree. I had the exact same thing because he's only in about a third of the movie.
Yeah.
I would say the person that played David in the middle of his life was
Yep.
probably the lead of this movie.
Yeah, and he's
The
gone on.
young, like older teen young man.
Yep, he's gone on and done a lot of things. He was in Game of Thrones. He was in a movie that no one's ever heard of called Magnus, which was amazing. Yeah, he's been around forever, and I honestly think his performance was better than Jeffrey's as far as the range of things that he had to go through. But I can understand why they gave it to Jeff because of that speech pattern that he had to get down, and he did have it down 100.
Yep, nope, I totally agree. And I was also super excited, you mentioned the actor who played his father, who is, plays the grandfather in Avalon, which is one of my favorite movies,
Yep.
and is just the kindest, nicest, most wonderful soul in the world, and he is such a bad man in this movie. And so seeing that range and what this actor can play and what he can do, I understand why he didn't win, but I'm really glad he was nominated as well. He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, the dad is, he's not a good person. He's also very spiteful. And my question that I have is why he was doing this to his son. And there are a couple theories, and none of them do I really 100% buy, but they can be explained. One, he did survive through the Holocaust, so he knows that the outside world can be a very horrible place.
Yes.
So he's being overly protective of his son. That might be part of the reason. But then, if that's the case, contrast that with he's pushed his son his entire life to be the best that he can be at piano. Why are you then going to deny this thing that you have been pushing him towards? Like, there is a conflict in Dad that does not work for me.
Yes, and I agree with you. It's like there is a conflict in him that they either don't fully address or they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Because part of it, at first, I thought it was he couldn't handle his son outshining him, or
That's it.
yeah, I don't either. Or maybe like the fact that his son goes beyond his teaching, but like his teaching is not enough, and his son has kind of expanded out. But that doesn't seem to be it either.
I don't.
Part of it was, is he trying to protect his family? Well, if he was trying to protect his family and keep them all together, he wouldn't be so shitty to them in the family, in the moment.
And and if that's the case, he also wouldn't be pushing them to be out in public.
Yes, exactly.
There's a lot of contrast in the father that just leaves you asking questions. And again, we both don't need to be, we talk about it a lot, we don't need to be hit over the head, but give us some sort of clue as to why this is. And maybe it was here and we missed it. That's a possibility, but I didn't see it.
Okay, so that question leads to what my overarching thought of the movie was, which was, I'm glad I watched it. It had some great performances in it. I don't know what the point of it was, because it feels like it's a sweater with 17 unraveled threads to it. The father, that's one of them. I just need so much more to understand. So we see him clearly having difficulties. David was never he was always a bit of an oddball child.
Sure.
So fine, but then he goes to college, and then he has electric shock therapy, and then he's Jeffrey Rush. Some things happened in between there, I'm gonna guess. Like, what happened in between? Is it because of a disease? Is it because of, who he is as a person? Did the electric shock therapy do something to change him?
The implication is, and I do buy this, because I remember like reading articles about the actual person. But the implication is that the Rock 3 broke him. It just broke him. And they do a really good job of setting up how difficult a piece that is. He's not ready for it, he's not ready for it, he's not ready for it. Even John Gielgud is like, you were not ready for this. And he takes it on anyway. And the only way, and I've heard other people talk about being able to understand and perform this, the amount of passion that you need to be able to put into it.
Which they demonstrated very, very well.
You have to know it so intimately that you have to spend months, if not years, practicing over and over, so it becomes an obsession. And so in this case, I think what they're saying is, after he'd spent so much time, because it was years that he was practicing this, and it just became the obsession of his. Once it was out of him, and that release happened, his body did not know what to do, his mind did not know what to do, and he just collapses.
All right, that actually makes a lot of sense, so I appreciate that. I didn't get that from the film. I mean, I definitely got the moment that the break happened.
Yeah.
But kind of like how it happened and why it happened, I didn't understand that. And I guess other than a showcase for Jeffrey Rush's performance, I didn't see as much of a point to this as I think they wanted us to, because even just the relationship with Lynn Redgrave seems so rushed at the end.
Yeah.
And every connection he made with people, you didn't really get to see why and how that connection happened. It's almost like even the woman that worked in the bar who took him in, she was, I don't know, it seemed like almost a pet rather than a friend, and I didn't love that.
Yeah, I think part of it, and they don't do a really good job, is showcasing how brilliant of a piano player he is, so that those moments of clarity when he sits down in front of a piano and plays, and they do a couple scenes of it, everybody becomes so incredibly mesmerized by his playing. Then I think that's one of the reasons why people do gravitate towards him and take care of him, because they recognize the genius in his playing, and everything else has to be handled. He cannot exist in the real world. He has to be taken care of, and I think that the bartender, Lynn, they fell in love with the playing and therefore took care of everything else around him.
And that just bothered me a little bit. It's more what he can do than who he is.
Yeah.
And so that just kind of bothered me a little bit. I just thought this was very emotionally manipulative. It didn't have a ton of payoff. It was definition of Oscar bait. But that said, I'm glad I watched it. And the playing, the shots of him playing and the passion, considering that I'm assuming that actor was not actually the one playing.
There are scenes where he is.
Done. Oh, okay.
There, and I was, I paid attention particularly this time. There are 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 shots when he's both practicing as well as at the actual concert where he breaks, where the camera does go either from the fingers up to his face in a continual shot or vice versa.
Okay.
And it's obviously more simple patterns that he's playing at that particular moment in time. But there are moments where the actor is actually playing, so they can make it real. The more complicated things, it's all just on the fingers.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I did also, in a couple of the other movies we talked about, I didn't understand certain people in certain places, and I thought that they were extraneous. In this, some of the really small roles I thought were really well done, like the John Gielgud and the Catherine, the older woman who takes a liking to him, who sends him something after she dies.
Yep.
Like very small pieces, but that was character building and character development that I thought added to the movie rather than subtracted from it.
Overall, this is I like the story, but in particular I just like the music, so I give it a probably bigger pass than it deserves.
No, and it's I understand why it was so popular and why Jeffrey Rush got an award. I totally agree with you as to which award he probably should have gotten. But it's one of those that I haven't watched yet. I always wanted to, and I was glad that I watched it.
Excellent. I don't really have anything else to say about any of these.
I'm good. My question is, I don't know where you're going to land.
For which one should
which one should have won Best Picture.
So I think it's pretty apparent that both of us don't think that The English Patient should have won for Best Picture.
No, that's not apparent to me.
Really?
That I think that The English Patient rightfully won Best Picture.
Really?
I absolutely do. Yes.
I think this is the first time I am genuinely shocked by your reply.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
I really, really am.
Okay. I thought it had more, and I don't know. I thought it had more than a lot of these movies, and I thought it was grander and just all of the pieces worked.
Okay.
So I'm assuming you're going to go with Fargo.
I am 100% going with Fargo.
All right. And I think Fargo is a really good movie. I didn't think it had, I don't know, I don't think it had enough of all of the pieces to be Best Picture, but I wouldn't have been mad if I got it. Well, and also, I will say, and I'm going into this knowingly that I'm going to be counted as ignorant, because this is one of those years when they say the wrong movie got it. That
really?
Experts out there think Fargo should have gotten it over English Patient. So I know I'm going in with the unpopular opinion.
But that's also hindsight. When you can see the movies that will stand up over the test of time and be like, well, I guess we got that one wrong because this one is actually better. That's just I don't.
You can't judge.
No, I don't. It's not that I don't like it. It just seems like a cop out to me for people to say to suddenly flip-flop on the movie that is clearly better than the popular vote for something. Because sometimes the popular vote can be the best decision. It really can.
It's true. So I think they were both very, very good movies, but I would give the win to English Patient.
All right, fair enough.
All right.
Till next time. See ya.
Hi.